Thank you for all this inspiring lightning talk sessions, and also sorry from our side for the technical hiccups. It seems like 2 years of remote first haven't been enough to get this all right. But yeah, it was a lot of inspiring insights, at least for me personally. And with that, I would also like to welcome some of our speakers on the stage. I see we already have Will here. So I'm looking forward to have you join me on stage. I'm going to bring you up right now. And hi, Will. Great to see you.
Hi.
And
Thanks, Joanna.
maybe we'll also have Tanisara coming up. I'll just see. Yes. Perfect. Then it's the three of us. Hi. Great to see you as well. Thanks to both of you for the great talks and also for joining our little Q&A session. Maybe to start it off, Will, I think the first question was actually rather a compliment that came in from the audience. It was that your talk is so professional and your voice, and if you're doing that on other occasions as well, or was it a first time and you should actually switch to becoming a radio moderator right now?
Yeah, that was very kind. I can't hear it myself. I don't like listening to myself talk. I guess that's kind of maybe something that everyone experiences. But yeah, no, that's nice. Obviously, working in this remote first way, we've had a lot of opportunity to hone our skills at presenting digitally, haven't we, at virtual conferences? And I do enjoy the format a lot. I've done a couple in the last couple of years, but I'm kind of lucky that I work on my multimedia team and I have quite a bit of advice in terms of setup and things from the other people who work in my department. So there's that, I suppose. Maybe that was what it was that makes it seem a bit more professional.
Cool. Yeah, and the follow-up question to that was more related to the process that you went through when creating your graphics. So somebody asked if you can share a little bit more about how the process of actually gathering feedback on the graphic looked like. Because they saw that it seemed like you have a very formalized process with an actual spreadsheet where you gather all the feedback to your visualizations.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think we struggle with this a lot. We probably should do an awful lot more in terms of user testing. We don't always get the chance to. I work in a weekly journal, so obviously time is always pressured. I'm sure lots of people work in a similar sort of situation. I was really lucky with this project that it was a bit of a longer one, and so we did have a bit of extra time to do these things. And I was collaborating with people at Cambridge University who actually did this branch of testing. So I haven't done a lot of user testing myself for a while. I did during my PhD, I did quite a bit of user testing, sitting down with people, getting them through sort of visualizations, asking them to think aloud what their thought process was while they were going through it. And it's fascinating work if you can get a chance to do it. And I think we should do it an awful lot more. In this case, we picked up some fairly fundamental things. I mean, in a sense, it was kind of odd because we had a sort of relatively functional graphic and I had to go back and like redesign some bits of it and sort of take pieces apart that I'd actually worked on quite a lot. But I think it was worth it just to have these things that I'd never come up with myself because I was just so used to using it and I sort of knew how it was going to work and I knew what it could do. But having someone sit down fresh with it and then try using it themselves was a really interesting experience. And yeah, like 5 out of 6 of the people we sat down with had the same problem with it. So at that point, you start to think, well, obviously my ideas are need to be addressed and changed around. So yeah, I'd recommend it. I mean, it was only a small test. It was only 6 people, but even that can be really helpful.
Thanks. Yeah, those are definitely very valuable insights. And I believe, or I can also tell from myself that we as data visualization, visualization interested people are actually often much more fascinated about building a cool and fancy looking data visualization rather than actually building something that people can relate to and can also work with. Maybe Tanisara, also thanks for joining us and sorry for the little hiccup in the announcement of your talk. It was great to hear on how you actually use data to make our lives safer. And I wanted to ask maybe how is it for you, because also I guess usability is also a big topic for your data visualizations. Is that something that you've dealt with in the past as well, or have any experiences with?
I think, in my opinion, actually, I worked with another policy think tank. So we have our team of research that try to analyze tons of data and then find some insight for us. And actually, my duty is just try to communicate them to the people, just like the audience, just like the public, and also the policymaker, because they don't have a time to read a lot of tables, a lot of numbers, or even maybe a Tableau or Power BI. But they don't. Then they want to go straight to the solution, the possible solutions from the data, so they can make a effective data-driven policy. So I think our job is just try to make them see what happened in the past and was going on, and then what is the possible solution. So I point out there's a problem with the location, because you can see that in the location that they have some infrastructure that you can improve them to make people life safer, and also they do the law enforcement or monitor the accident, so they can put the right man to the right place at the right time. That we try to make them see easier, and then also make the people see easier what's actually the problem, and then suggest the right way for the solution.
Thanks for that. Maybe you can also lift your microphone a little bit away from your t-shirt. We had a little bit of a background noise, but otherwise very interesting insights. And I know the technical struggles today as well. So that was very interesting to hear. Another question also from my side to both of you, because I think both of you have dealt with this topic, is regarding the visualization of uncertainties. So Will, you mentioned that as well, and I think there's also quite a couple of approaches ways of addressing this. And I heard there were some research papers that looked also in how you can use colors, for example, or making things blurry. And there's all kinds of different ways in approaching this problem. And maybe let's start with Will first. Do you have any opinions on this? And
Yeah, that was so interesting to see that.
You mentioned it in your talk that you were also handling this, but go ahead. Go for it.
Yeah, it was super interesting to see in quite a lot of I think maybe 4 out of the 5 talks we were talking about how our struggles with data and finding data, and sort of, not just going with the data that's there, but trying to find it and pin it down. So that was really interesting to see in Tanasara's work too. In terms of uncertainty, yeah, obviously, we're always concerned about the data quality and what we can do with it. I guess I'm quite lucky that I come from the work I do as well in a science and medical background, and people are quite literate about uncertainty within data there. Like, everybody just talks in the language of confidence intervals and being, evidence-based. So, and we have something called the grade framework, which is about assessing evidence as being low, very low, or moderate quality. And there's a whole systems designed to deal with uncertainty. So I think my audience is quite literate in that, which is great. We chose to use a color scale in ours because we didn't want people to be fixated on the exact numbers, because it was an expert elicitation study. It wasn't perfect data. It wasn't from a systematic review. It wasn't really kind of nice. It was, people having read what they had and having their own opinions on it, and different parts of it had more certainty than others. And that was something that we were, really conscious about grappling with. So there's a lot of different levels of uncertainty in the presentation. The first one, as I say, is just using this color scale, which I think lends itself quite well to the kind of slightly less certain data. But then also every point in the diagram you can click every drop down menu, every mitigation, every kind of like measure like masks and things. You can click on them, and behind them you can see the kind of evidence level on a 5-point scale, I think, so we could show people how certain we were of all those different things behind it. But yeah, there's lots of other really interesting ways of doing that, like you say, blurring and things like that. So yeah, so I come from a position of being fortunate in that people sort of understand uncertainty in the field that I work in, and there's lots of techniques existing, but it's kind of trying to explore some more of them and how to build that into complex interactive visualizations as well. Is, I think, still something that I haven't answered, and I'd be really interested to learn more about.
Yes, I think that's an ongoing discussion, and if nobody yet found the perfect solution to visualize uncertainty, so I'm excited to see what ideas will still be popping up in the data with space in the next years there. Yeah, I think we lost Thanisara, but we're anyways already at the end of our session time. So thank you very much for joining us. Also to all the listeners, if you still have questions, feel free to put them in the Google Sheet, and we'll forward them to Will or also the other speakers. And they are also all on the DataVis Slack, so you can just reach out to them by that as well. And with that, thank you very much, and we'll have a short break now. Bye-bye.
Speak to you soon, hopefully. Bye.